Hello, what is going on, guys? Hockey Guy 1 here. Welcome to my review of The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is directed by Roger Eggers and stars William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. The story is about Winslow, or Thomas Howard, as well as Thomas Spring, kind of like are set to guard this whole lighthouse, and basically, they're going on with their jobs, and Winslow kind of like goes crazy as he gets getting more and more visions about things that are going on, and just kind of a bunch of scary kind of visions that kind of like cause him to go crazy. The story is actually very good. I mean, there's really only like two main characters in this whole story, so able to like bring a story with only two main characters, it's pretty impressive. I mean, in most movies have like at least 6 main characters or 5. This one only uses 2 to like carry on a story, and even with that, like just this whole kind of story is kind of different. I mean, it's the whole in the lighthouse getting crazier and crazier. I mean, you hadn't seen that in some horror movies, but this one kind of like it's kind of in a different way how they do that kind of story. I mean, you just have the way it does, and just how the story is just progressed is just really impressive. I mean, it really feels like a whole complete story, because each scene really does feel the other, and it really feels like each scene is necessary to be in this movie. And even with that, the story is executed very well, and it's just this whole guarding this whole lighthouse place, and then it's getting crazier and crazier. Just the whole explanation and execution of this is really works. The structure of the whole story is done very well. I mean, the first act, it kind of like starts out kind of having stay in the lighthouse and just getting there, and just really kind of starting out the story well with the whole kind of like arriving there and starting getting on their jobs more, and and the second act, it's just very progressive, kind of like showing them more in their jobs, especially Winslow on this whole job, and a very good job with that. It just kind of progresses the story, moves it along well, and even it kind of like shows all these visions that Window's starting to get here, and it's a very good way to move along the story, and it does really feel like, then the whole third act is where Winslow just completely snaps and starts going after Drake, and then ends up killing him, and it kind of like goes up the lighthouse, and then it falls down the place and basically dies from there. I mean, just that whole ending is a very satisfying way to like close out the story, and it's definitely a very emotional way of ending out this movie, and is definitely something that you wouldn't really expect, to be honest, but as we kind of like look at it, it kind of makes sense, because the whole thing is kind of like foreshadowed throughout the movie. I mean, kind of showing all those seagulls coming around, and then at the end having them being eaten by seagulls after being dead. I feel like it's that whole ending is a satisfying way to close it out, and just honestly, it's a very unexpected way to do it that makes sense. The pacing is very good. I mean, this movie does feel like it goes by pretty quickly. I mean, it's not even that long a movie. It's a little under 2 hours, and honestly, it feels like this movie does go by pretty quickly. I mean, each scene feels connected and feels like it takes place and really needs to be in the story to progress it, and it just feels like this movie ends up getting to its runtime well enough, and just doing it eventually, and it really feels like the story is complete with all the pacing, and as well, it doesn't really bore me that much, so it does feel like it goes by fast, and it does feel like a whole complete movie. Our main character, Winslow, or as his actual name is, Thomas Howard, is actually a very good character. I mean, it's kind of the way he's written in this movie is just very impressive. I mean, he kind of started out okay, he kind of has this lighthouse job, and then he keeps having all these visions, and that he does kind of like and why he gets fit, and eventually, I mean, he's having all these visions, and then even in some scenes, Drake's not living that fair to him, and I definitely think that they do a very good job progressing his character that way, and just really having him develop into this, and then of course, like, at the end of dying, this feels like a fitting end to his character. I mean, just that whole character growth, and then I mean, I like that just makes perfect sense. I mean, it's pretty much his consequence for killing Drake, and I feel like that's pretty much a good way to like completely ending his character out that way, and it's just a perfect way to write his character. And the other main character in this whole story, Thomas Drake, I mean, he's there with her like the whole time, and I do think that he is a very well written character as well. I mean, he's just kind of like totally doesn't really want to do much. He's definitely kind of like that little selfish kind of person. I mean, he takes the whole job that kind of makes him at the Payless, and it's kind of making Winslow do a lot of the work. And I do think that he does do they do a pretty good job writing this kind of a character. I mean, it's well executed. You can really kind of like see how he is, and you know that you can kind of see like how he kind of somewhat relationship trying to real conclusion. I mean, when they're together, they kind of talk to each other a lot about it, and they joke around, and they do a good job kind of showing that, but they also do a good job of like kind of showing how he's not really being that fair to Winslow, and which is why he kind of like ends the way he does it, because I mean it's not really being too fair, and I do think they do a very good job kind of like whole progressing his character in that case, and just really doing a very good job kind of like showing that way, and just how he has a friendship, and just how he's kind of like selfish kind of character. The acting is just phenomenal. I mean, there's really only two main actors in this movie. I mean, in a whole lead role. I mean, there's Robert Pattinson as Winslow or Thomas Howard. He does a very good job. He really does feel like the character. I mean, just his whole delivery feels on point in every scene, and just it feels like he's really confident when he's delivering his lines, and it really seems like he wants to be inside of this movie. I mean, he just does a very good job in each scene, and really does feel like the whole character. And William Dafoe, I feel like, was kind of like the whole star of the whole show. I mean, he does a very good job in this movie, and definitely one of the better performances last year, if I'm being honest. I mean, he did a very great job in his role, the whole feeling like the character, just his delivery was just really on point. He kind of used somewhat of a different voice for this role, even than he normally does, and I feel like he did a very good job with that, and just making him feel like the character, and having like a really confident delivery is what really makes him very good in this role. Score is very good. Most of the time, it's kind of like slow and scary kind of music, which perfectly fits the whole tone of the movie. So I do feel like it really works. I mean, at the beginning, they kind of started off that way, and it kind of sets the tone of the movie, and it kind of gets you to know what the movie is. And then when they have all the slow music just really feels well, and it just perfectly fits each scene, and it just perfectly works for the tone of the movie. Cinematography is just fantastic. I mean, I really applaud this movie for filming in black and white to kind of match the whole entire setting of the film. I mean, it takes place in the 1890s, and they make it filmed in black and white to make it actually feel like it takes place in that time period. So I really like how they do that, and I really like it when films do that, to like make it in black and white to kind of match the whole time that it sets in. And even with all the camera angles of this movie, I mean, you're just kind of looking at it, they're all just really good. I mean, close-ups really show how the characters are emotions, like when they first got there, like that whole shots that kind of zoomed in right to Drake, and then Thomas Reagan and Thomas Howard. I mean, that shot in this movie, it's just a really well done shot. I mean, it really just shows them just arriving, just showing their emotion to it, and it just was perfectly shot for that. And even that, they do a very good job showing the landscape in most scenes in this movie, and they do a very good job in just about every scene with the camera work. Set designs are very good. You got the whole looks, the lighthouse, which I do really like. I mean, just obviously just looks like a normal lighthouse, and there's nothing else. But they did do a very good job kind of making it look like a lighthouse, and then just the whole kind of like rooms that they're in to feel like rooms, and they feel like scenes, and just sound design like on the whole place. It definitely does feel like it, and they do a very good job designing it. Overall, The Lighthouse is just a masterpiece, and honestly, a top 5 best movie of last year. And so I'm gonna give The Lighthouse a 10 out of 10. That was my review of The Lighthouse. What are your thoughts on The Lighthouse? Tell me in the comments below. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.